Should we have the case calendar in front of us?
Alright, 2024 is coming to a close.
It's actually over.
It's actually over, but the crop is still here. Gonna carry that into 2025. A good majority of it. It's been a struggle. What do you think, Rane, this year? Things that we did right, things that we did wrong.
I think things that we did wrong is
I'll start with what we did right.
we decided to be farmers, and Mother Nature gave it all she had on us this year, and definitely I would say this is my 13th full-time growing season, was the toughest growing conditions, not planting. Planting went fairly smooth optimism, and things look great, and
we had a good crop in June and July, most of July,
and looking at now, fast forwarding through the tougher part of the year, I think we did darn good, and a lot of the stuff we invested in, drainage, all the mud, me, you, and Pop, and we fought through. Stan, we gotta give Stan credit. In the mud, putting tile in and putting pumps in and solar pumps and Jeff and power and all that stuff. When you're knee deep in water and your pumps are pumping your fields off, awesome. I think that type of stuff.
I think drainage, when I was thinking about it, when we're underwater, you're thinking that things are suffocating, but what you did have before that was soil, not saturated, had oxygen in it, the water pushed through it, and it came out of it fairly quickly. The water came off, and it was business as usual a lot faster than it has been in the past for us. So before we were rotating as much as we are, cover cropping, drainage, those three things.
Grassing ditch banks, even you can even consider that in that statement, because you didn't have erosion in the ditches, plugging all the ditches up after 21 inches of rain. Our ditches are still flowing good, and
we've seen storms and summers like this in the past, and it's not as bad as it could have been, but the weather was worse than it's been.
It's a lot better than we thought it was gonna be.
Yeah.
And thank God it is, because then we'd be in a lot of trouble with the inflation costs and the cost of production and just labor costs, and nobody can account for how much that inflation percentage was really going to be, and we had all-time highs on
production costs.
Oh, just working with Farm Credit directly, and you and I and Noah and Aunt Liz, and we're all crunching numbers, and we still missed it by quite a bit.
You can't account for shrink in your crop either. That's the hardest thing, is you don't know what you're going to get after Mother Nature's done with you and when you get it out the door. The improvements that we made, the sprayer was probably one of the biggest ones that we made this year, and one of the biggest payoffs. We were out there spraying, I would say, before other farmers could get out and spray their fields and protect their crop. And I think it salvaged the crop as much as it possibly could.
Having the access of the H2A guys at times, the last spray of the season, the most crucial one, putting the sleeper on, they had to go move onions out of the way and measure new sprayer paths in a lot of areas, because 10% of the field was impassable, but the other 90% was fine. But just having a good sprayer that stayed up in 120 feet, that's in one pass. If you had to make more passes, you would have really, it would have taken them longer to make new areas, and just that 10% would have went to 25%, and I would have to say that was a huge saving grace. There was a point where we didn't know if we were going to get sleeper on our onions after they just were underwater, or another fungicide spray at that.
Yeah, sleeper's going to help them stay dormant throughout the winter and not start sprouting again. That would drastically affect your shelf life of your crop. Other than it being able to get out on the field that was not passable for other equipment, the 120-foot expansion, saving passes, and then the PWN system saving acres a week of overspraying chemicals. For the acres we planted, we were ordering just a few more acres to spray the crop.
Yeah.
That's usually a 20% increase in overspray without a PWM at least. And we saved pretty much 18% of that. I would say for me, the biggest thing this year was what saved our ass for harvest was the Dominator.
And the Turbo Top.
Turbo Top and the Dominator. We were very productive when it came to harvest time. We did not have downtime. off season with Tong and the way that they stood behind their equipment and the quality of craftsmanship and people that they have to come over here and make the right changes. That was game changing. I don't know what we would have done without that machine. We would have a huge issue.
Well, Modern Produce, Tom and Joe worked real hard to get that machine right, along with Tong, and they got the machine right, and we took out a lot of dirt, and were able to harvest a crop that we didn't even think was possible. But
at certain points, we were thinking that how are we ever going to get this done, but the turbo top update that we did to our onion harvester, that made that machine so productive.
Yeah,
it was better than I ever could have thought it could have been, and then some. I don't know, it's just the way that balanced the machine, the offset of the axle, the hydraulic updates with the 4-wheel drive and the knife system and
yield monitoring. You know, you always are thinking what it is, but it was nice to reinforce what you're thinking or be surprised.
Going forward in 2025, improvements that we're going to make, we've made one big decision. We bought a Puma 165 Monroe tractor. Brad Leyburn worked real hard on that deal. Got us a good deal, got us a good tractor. The one that we test drove, it's painted red.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to start matching some more things around here.
They had a tractor sitting right there.
That purchase is for a laser weeder. So we talked about labor costs earlier. I feel like it's time to try to start reducing labor costs, possibly reducing herbicide inputs, and hopefully get some yield boost out of that and quality as well. So that's coming in 2025. That's one of the improvements that we're making for sure.
We're going to rent a laser weeder.
Yes, we did not buy a laser weeder. We're going to lease a laser weeder from question mark. If anybody has one out there that they would like to lease to us, give us a shout. But that's our move for 2025. That Puma is going to be on tracks with a carbon robotics laser weeder.
Time to see what everybody's talking about. I know Dylan agrees with this, and you talk to other specialists that herbicides are meant to kill things, and you don't want to kill onions, so why not reduce your impact? And that's a good way to get an ROI on labor and yield. I hope yield and quality. You know, that's what I'm most optimistic for, and I feel like those two numbers, you're going to have more consistent stands. The simple fact you're not.
Herbicide always seems to be another variable that you have to account for when you got all the other environmental impacts that just get dealt to you, whether you want them or not. So I guess it's a way to stop the bleeding in some spots, and hopefully we're productive enough with it this year to cover our whole crop. We're going to shoot to do it 3 times. And
if it doesn't work, then it goes back to where its home was, and we got a nice tractor to plant with. So, you know, there's sometimes it's worth taking a risk, and that's what business is. And I think that Dylan's done a lot of research and talked to a lot of people, and we appreciate other growers. You know, farmers talk, and
there's transparency among farmers, the productive farmers, and they communicate well, and they want the industry to do better. And we all want the industry to do better, because the better we do together is the better we all do. And Tori's letting us come see that, and then talking to Kincaid's and the carbon robotics salesman, Justin Lentz, spent a lot of time talking about it with us.
I'm sure they're sick
of
talking.
They're sick of talking to us about it, but we're ready to take the dive.
When Tories go out and year 1 they buy more laser weeders, You know, there's a reason for it. You know, they've already done the R&D for us. You know, they've seen, and if anybody's crunched the numbers, you know, those guys it's got an ROI on it and a lifespan. You just gonna be staying up real late at night running it, or Bucci can.
Yeah, Bucci. You know, there's a saying that we have said in the past: you're only as good as the people you surround yourself with. Special thanks to all of our vendors and customers and all of you for watching and supporting us, and you're the reasons we're what we are. You guys. You are.
Everybody that helps us along the way, no matter who you are or where you're from, couldn't do it without the support of all the great people around us. That goes without saying, because I hope that they feel it from us.
I don't know if they all do, but anyways, alright, 2024 is over. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next year.
Bye-bye. Cheers. I'm going to camp.